Hello, Ash.
Hello, Fiona. How are
Hello.
you?
I'm good, thanks. How are you doing?
I'm very, very good. Very good. So, what are we talking about today in today's episode?
So, we're going to talk about protecting your income. Um, I think most people see my company as a company who will help you arrange your mortgage, but
Yeah.
there's actually a lot more to it than that. And I think at the moment, protecting your income is something really important, which I'm speaking to all clients about. So I thought it was an important subject to bring up today.
Sounds good to me. So, what is for people to understand this? What is income protection then? If they're about their property and stuff, to keep themselves on their property, what is income protection?
Yeah, so it's a policy we can arrange for you where it protects a percentage of your income if you're unable to work because you're sick or you've had an accident. And right now, with mortgage payments rising, cost of living rising, I think it's more important than ever to ensure that if you can't work, if you're too poorly, you still have an income coming in.
Absolutely. No, it makes sense. And especially so with this income protection, like for someone in with the cost of living rises we were talking about before, how, because a lot of people probably are considering not, they maybe cancel their insurance. That's obviously the last thing you should really be thinking about doing right now. How important is
Definitely.
it to protect your income, do you think, in this kind of rising cost situation?
I think it's more important than ever. I suppose objections that I've heard to this kind of policy previously has been, well, work, I've still got my partner will still be working, so we can muddle through, we can just about cover costs. Well, maybe your income hasn't really risen that much recently. I know not all companies are able to give pay rises to their employees. So maybe your income hasn't risen too much recently, but we're finding that our costs have. Can your partner still cover all those costs? Are you still going to be okay in this situation? Because people I'm speaking to, in some cases, their monthly costs with their mortgage rising, it's £500 more a month. So
Yeah,
how are you going to cover that extra £500 if you can't work because you're too poorly?
that's a big one to think about, isn't it? Because I think that's the scenario that so many of us don't take into consideration, as you say, with the income protection, is a lot of the time people who might have income protection, it might even be out of date now,
Yeah.
because of that.
Yeah, exactly. And if people have had pay rises, then their monthly benefit that they could receive from these policies could actually be higher now as well. So that's something else we need to look at. Are you getting the most out of this policy? It might cost you a couple of pounds more to increase that monthly benefit with the insurance company, but it's worth doing. It's easier to find an extra couple of pounds more a month than it is to find an extra £500 if you can't work because you're too poorly and you need to cover extra costs.
Yeah,
So I think that's the important way to think about these policies. Do you need one? I don't know. I don't know whether you're never going to be poorly, so I can't answer that. But you absolutely are going to hope you have one if you are poorly. And I would prefer to have something in just in case, just in case.
absolutely. I think that's the thing, that then some of these policies can be, from my understanding, and this is interesting, you to give some light on it, like they can be like index linked as well, can't they? So they can go up with inflation and all of this type of stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Which is a great benefit. No, everybody. That's a sweeping statement. Most people have heard of life insurance.
Yeah,
Most people know that you can get some life insurance, but people don't really know too much about these other policies that you can have. So I just get it for people to say it's not just about what happens if you die,
yeah,
it's what happens if you survive as well. What if you're
absolutely.
still living but can't work? What if your income stops? Employers may not pay anything at all. They may pay for 3 months, 6 months. Not often do you find an employer who will pay you continuously till age 68 if you're off sick. That's
Yeah,
unlikely to happen. But it can happen to someone, they can be in that position. So it's worth making sure that you have something in place if it does happen to you.
No, it makes complete sense. And so if someone is thinking about like, what's the best first step for them if they're not sure about this type of stuff, they're watching this now, listening to this now, they're not even sure how they even get this type of thing, this policy, this income protection cover, what's kind of the first steps they should look at doing?
Contact me, definitely, because people put barriers up because either they don't know much about it or they think it's too expensive. And these policies can be tailored to fit your budget, so they're not too expensive. And I have had clients who have told me that they can't afford policies, but when you look at their bank statements, remember, we get your bank statements, guys. We know what you're spending your money on, and we can see all those chips to pick up your morning coffee. Now, that's important. I need my morning coffee. I understand. Coffee's important. I know you agree, Ash.
Absolutely.
Coffee's important. But if you cut back on a couple of those every month, you could actually make sure you're protecting an element of your income in case you're too poorly to go to work.
I completely agree with all of the policies are amazing. I think that they are in the world we're in right now, where everything is, where it's going, protecting your income. It's quite funny. I was having a conversation with somebody about this, saying the same thing, was saying that more and more people are like trying to cut costs, but actually it could be devastating to their situation if something happened to them in a rising cost of living crisis and they don't have any cover in place to factor that in. It's sometimes be a bit careful, as you say, maybe, get the insurance and cut the coffees, not so much keep the coffees and cut the insurance, which is what is a lot of the time happening. And so I think this type of conversation is important, because also whatever, if you've got insurance and it's got it now, it's one of those things of making sure you don't get rid of it by accident, just on a whim.
I think so, yeah. I'm reviewing the policies as well to make sure you're getting the best policy for you, because your circumstances change.
Yeah.
You may have taken the policy out when you were single and you thought, oh well, I don't need the maximum monthly benefit that they will give me. I'll reduce it. And then you forget you have it, you forget what you're covered for, and now you have a family, and you've had some pay increases, you've had some promotions. Well, let's review that policy, because actually there could be a better one for you as well.
You absolutely should review policies. My own experience of that, not with personal cover, with like animal cover, our dog had to go in for a big not operation, but like a checkup and stuff. It's very expensive. We hadn't reviewed our pet insurance for years, and looked at it and I was like, it's not even covered in what I would like for the thing that I had. And that's just an example, and actually made me go back and check all my own personal policies, because I was like, when I needed it, I got the wrong policy, because it was the right policy when I took it, but it was the wrong policy now. And it was like that weird thing, it was the wrong policy in the situation. And that didn't bother me with the dog, because I was like, it's fine, we'll deal with it. But it massively triggered me to be like, whoa, go back and check out on my wills, on my insurance, on my, like, what is in place now? Because when I took it, it was a very different time to where it is now, both my life and the world around me. And so I think it's very important. And sometimes we think it's a set and forget type thing, and it's definitely not.
Yeah, and these policies do get better and better. The insurance companies do actually work really hard at making sure that they're providing a really good policy to clients, and they're getting better and better and better all the time. So it may be that we can look at a policy for you that does cover you for things that your current policy it might not cover you for. So it's important to have a look, review these things, and making sure you always have the best policy for your circumstances now, not 15 years ago when things were very different.
Absolutely. Any parting words before we end this episode?
Come and speak to me so we can review your policy, or start a policy if you do not have one. It's important.
There we go. Love it. Absolutely brilliant. See you next week, guys.